RailFreight traffic in the Netherlands is still facing severe restrictions as the country faces the harshest winter weather in years. And Hupac is steadily extending its P400 trailer network in Europe. This will all be discussed in this week's RailFreight Live. It's Friday, 12 February, and it's Chinese New Year. It's the year of the cow, as we've understood, and therefore we would like to say something to our Chinese audience. There we go. Niuning Ta Chi. I hope I did it right. Now, it may not be the same as usual, and many people are also not able to travel, but we hope this does not take the fun away, and all those who are celebrating the Spring Festival will enjoy the coming days. In the Netherlands, there is less reason for celebration. Although most people are enjoying the snow, it has had serious consequences for the rail freight industry. Since last Sunday, the infrastructure has been partly paralyzed as many switches stopped functioning. Passenger traffic has resumed with some hurdles, but many freight trains are still stuck. Especially in the port of Rotterdam, people are struggling to become fully operational again. In a few minutes, we are going to show you a video of the work that is going on. Infrastructure manager Prorail has been keeping a live blog with updated information, and it published a map on Thursday, yesterday. We are showing you this map currently. It's in Dutch, but the colors tell everything. So the color red means that it's not accessible, the place. In yellow, it's partially accessible, and green means that the area is accessible. But of course, the situation changes all the time, so please keep a good look at Prorail's website. The live blog is not running anymore, but they're still posting the latest information. In the UK, the second phase of the high-speed railway line HS2 was approved by Parliament yesterday. This will ensure the building of Phase 2A north from the West Midlands to Crewe. And here it will connect with the West Coast Main Line, where it will trigger capacity improvements. HS2 has produced a short video that shows us this line. And as mentioned, there are currently people at work to clear up the tracks in the port of Rotterdam. Earlier this week, railway undertakings decided to pick up the arms and join Prorail in the snow. Now, RailFreight did exactly the same, put on the snow boots and took a look at the cooperation. Henny Kennedy from Prorail's incident team showed us around.
It's a very unique situation because of not only Prorail and its contractor, but also different railway companies and even some office people from Prorail and other companies. They're all putting their hands together and helping to remove the snow from some crucial parts of our infrastructure. This morning in total I had like 47 people working outside on different places, all removing snow and ice, which for none of them it was usual business. So that's, well, I'm sort of proud that we can join together and try to fix the problems, and so we can move trains again. It's all by hand, shovel, broom, and for some special parts we use heaters, blowers.
This is a switch, it's not centrally operated, so this is a switch you can operate on the spot with this machine. If you operate it right now with the snow between the movable part of the switch and the track, then there's you press the snow into a compact of ice, and because of that, there's no connection between the movable part of the switch and the railroad track and the track itself. So, and then if you drive over it with a locomotive or some cars, then you derail because it's not in the right position. So before you move this, you have to remove this snow right here. Now I can try if it works. Shall I do that?
If the trains can run like usual again, that depends on a lot of things. Our tracks are available, most of the switches are working tomorrow, and well, then it depends on how it goes in Germany and Italy and France and Belgium, because well, if a train has to go to Italy and it cannot ride through Germany, it makes no sense to leave here. The most important places for rail freight logistics, well, it depends on the sort of freight and on which railway company. And for us, it's all as important. And we try to listen to our customers to prioritize where to start first.
Yes, now this was made on Tuesday, and as he said, most switches are working, but it turned out to be a little bit different because the switches were again frozen. Nights of extreme frost changed everything, so the situation has only improved slightly, and this is to the frustration, of course, of the rail freight industry and the rail freight carriers. Now, we spoke to two of them, Jolanda Plom from LTE and Pieter Haasjager for Captrain, and both couldn't make it here because they were extremely busy solving the situation, but they have left a message for the industry.
The fifth day of the infrastructure problems due to the bad weather in the Netherlands, LTE Netherlands has driven 4 of the 20 planned international trains. This is dramatically for LTE. I do feel that the employees of Prorail are doing their utmost to keep us informed about the situation in the Dutch harbour, but I do really miss the empathy of the directors of Prorail. And I sincerely hope that they understand now that the bad situation of the tracks in the Rotterdam harbour needs to be taken care of. Thank you.
This snow crisis situation has now become disproportionate, and it became clear to me that the Dutch railway network only functions at temperatures between 1 and 29 degrees or so. When it snows, it's almost impossible to run a freight train properly. When there is also frost, the chaos is complete. Even 4 days after the snowfall, the clean switches freeze up again and the train traffic is very limited. It is distressing that 75% of the switch heating systems do not work. It is also a shame that the coordination and information flows are not properly managed. Of course, there is an understanding of exceptional weather situations, but the way this crisis is managed, railway undertakers are not only frustrated, but also furious and angry. The sector is losing money every day. More snow or freezing rain is expected this weekend. This is a disaster.
Yes, a disaster. I suppose we will hear from operators and carriers alike more about the situation. In the meantime, we have on the line with us Alessandro Valenti from Hupac. Good to see you here.
Good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon. You are here to discuss a more positive topic, but maybe you can relate a little bit. How is the situation in Italy when you have such heavy snow? Do you face similar circumstances?
First of all, Hupac is a Swiss company, and our main traffic are running through Switzerland. And Switzerland is a country full of mountains, and we cross the Alps, so we are relatively used to manage the winter conditions. But I have to say, I fully agree with my colleagues LTE and Captrain. It's really not only a disaster, but it's really a frustration and a real danger for the modal shift that the rail system has such weak reactions to similar normal situation. But I have to say, also in Switzerland we have the same issues. It's a general problem. It's not only related to Rotterdam, but also to the maybe a new approach or a new organization in the infrastructure board. We have also had some problems in Switzerland because of winter conditions, and the reaction times are not the one expected. Probably a very, very deep analysis should be done to understand where the critical points are, if it's a matter of organization, it's a matter of skills, a matter of resources, a matter of procedures. But we have to give a signal that this, let's say, defiance has been autocritical understood, and the market should understand that it will never repeat again, because for sure the big shippers, they see and they evaluate if they have to invest, yes or not, in rail system solutions, and this is for sure not a good business card. And for the investment, you know that it's very, very difficult to convince big company to take decisions, and it's very easy and very fast for them to change their mind. So this year is not the first case. So really the appeal and the warning to our partner of the infrastructure management is very, very, very strong.
Yeah. Okay. Now, that's good to hear that you are saying this, I guess. We had some more good news actually in Switzerland. The Scenery-based tunnel was opened in September last year, and since then, you, Hupac, extended your P400 network extensively. Now, maybe you can tell us why the opening of the Scenery-based tunnel was crucial in this.
Yes, I would say the Scenery-based tunnel was the last infrastructure of a big project, the so-called Alp Transit project, which is a very, very long-term initiative of the Swiss government taken more than 25 years ago. At the end, the project was over. All the infrastructure has been built. I have to say, at due time, on time. This is very important. And as of December 2020, Switzerland has become a corridor for all the P400 trailers on all the lines crossing the country, transiting the country. This is very important for the corridor Rotterdam-Genova, because this is the way really to allow all kind of units to be shifted on the train from the road to the rail. And the future is very bright in this sense. Although I have to admit that despite the opening of the infrastructures, there are still some works on the line. Single part to be completed, which will need also partial closures during the next months. But okay, now we have waited for a long time. I think a little bit of patience also for the next months is understandable.
So what are these closures? When and where can we expect them?
There are several closures. You know, the rail line is full of works. The calendar of the works is always very, very intense, and the next one, very important, is in April with 1 month closure of one of the 3 corridors through Switzerland. But there are also a lot of weekends, a lot of single weeks during the year. It would be a long calendar to describe. But anyway, as you said, we are very confident, but also other operators of our sectors. So there are a lot of other companies enjoying for these new infrastructures. We are ready to shift this kind of equipment, the trailers, P400, from the road to the rail. And you have to imagine, through Switzerland, more than 80% of the traffic in transit on the road can be shifted only with the trailer equipment. So container and tanks, I would say the majority is already on the rail, but a lot of goods traditionally transported by trailer can be shifted. And the trend of growth in this sector is very, very high. If you look at the figures in Europe, you see that it's nearly double digit per year, the growth of the trailer business. And by us, I have to say, in the last 5 years, we have nearly tripled the quantity of trailers. So it is a signal that the demand is very, very strong. The demand of the logistic for this kind of equipment.
You have some slides, so if you want us to point at something in particular, let us know. We are now showing the slides where you can see the growth and the increase.
Yes, the red columns, they represent the growth in trailer business of our company, but I think also for other rail operator transiting Switzerland, it should be similar. Okay, it's not only a matter of infrastructure, I have to say. It's not the only conditio sine qua non. There are also other elements to be considered, like the rail car set. I mean, the availability of the right rail cars. And if you ask the constructor of the rail cars, they will confirm that the demand of pocket rail cars is also growing with a similar trend. But also in the terminals, we need facilities, or we need, let's say, infrastructure solution in the rail terminals where we have to transship from road to rail. Something in the organization, in the structure of the terminals must be adapted.
Yeah, and how much needs to be done? How far are we now? Is that in Switzerland, for example, is that in place, or is there still a lot of work that needs to be done?
Concerning the terminal, Switzerland is a transit, is a country of transit, but the terminals, for example, in northern and southern of the Alps, there are a lot of new projects, and part of them have even been subsidized by the Swiss government, because the Swiss government decided not only to finance or to invest in the tunnels, they also decided to invest in the framework conditions. And the framework conditions are also the building of new terminals, allowing the modal shift. And this was really the reason for which the project was really long term. Yeah. In Italy, there are a lot of projects in which also our company is involved, and also northern of the Alps. It's maybe too long to describe them. One additional thing, last but not least, probably, the business of the semi-trailer on the trains means also a change of parameters of the rail tractions. It means that the semi-trailers, if you take one rail car, in one rail car you can load maybe 2 heavy tanks or 1 trailer, or also 1 container, one swap bodies. But the development of the semi-trailers will probably in the next years need the change of the parameters, technical parameter of the trains, in the sense that they should be longer. They should be longer in order to be able to utilize the possibility of the locomotives to run heavy trains, but heavy trains with trailers, if they are short, they cannot allow the productivity. So what is going to be done is not only to build terminals, tunnels, and to create new train connections. It's also important to have different technical parameters in Europe, like the length of the trains, which is also one of the components for which there are a lot of works scheduled in the next months. Yeah. Because a lot of tracks, a lot of lines must be adapted to the new length of the trains.
Okay. I want to take this a little bit broader. You mentioned Europe a lot. Now, this is quite recent in Switzerland, but a while ago, you also had some milestone steps in France and in Spain. Can you explain what was done there and what else needs to be done in Europe?
Mm-hmm. Okay. The first question is easier. The second one is a little bit an open question. But what the situation is in France and Spain? Okay, Spain, you know, they are equipping themselves with the European gauge of the tracks. This is relatively slow, but at current there are still a lot of trains running to from Spain and or France, and or via France. France, I have to say, is a country in which the development of the rail business is relatively complicated and not so fast. And coming back to the point about the trailers, this is a clear example of constraints or difficulties. It's not easy to have the allowance to run trains moving trailers with the 8 P400 because of a very, very complicated somehow bureaucratic / technical system. It takes a lot to have the allowance, and this allowance is not given to the line, is given to the specific product. So it means, and to the specific railway undertaking. It means that in order to be able to run trains on a specific corridor, you have to submit a request. It's not automatic, and it takes time, work, and sometimes even obstacles. So the message is that if France is apparently should be the case, wants really to facilitate a modal shift, something also in the procedure, in the prescriptions to create the framework condition easier must be changed. You mentioned our product. We have some few products connecting or transit in France, and we have reached the goal sometimes to have allowance for this trailer business, but it's really situated to the specific product. And every time there is a work on the line or a small change of routing, we immediately lose for this specific period the allowance. So it's a very, very delicate and fragile, the situation. Yeah. So we have not yet a situation in which we can say that the trailer business through France or in France can be steadily occur. Yeah. And sometimes there is. Please.
Where are the gaps? Which routes would you still like to see accomplished?
In France, you mean, or
in general in Europe?
In general, in Europe, I have to say, according to our experience, because we are not everywhere, but France is for sure one of the main problems. France, the transit in France is for sure for us the most critical one. Also, between Italy and Spain or France, there are also some constraints, because in that case there are really not the tunnels, so it's nearly impossible, technically impossible. Mm-hmm. The infrastructure is too old to allow the shift or the utilization of trains with the P400. And also partially south of Italy on the Tyrrhenic side, there is still a gap, but it should be covered in the next 5 years. For the connection between Italy and France, there is a famous project, Terzo Valico, the TAV between Lyon and Torino, which is a political issue overall in Italy. And for France, in my opinion, it's more a matter of convincement of the government to create better bureaucratical and infrastructure prescriptions. Yeah. Sometimes we have the feeling that there is a kind of protection of some existing markets.
Like which markets?
Not a secret. Pardon?
Which markets do you mean?
It's not a secret that France, or in France, there are a lot of trains running non-craneable trailers, and they have a specific allowance, and it's very difficult to compete. Compete even because of the technical constraints, and this is sometimes the bad feeling that we have when we ask for I repeat, this kind of allowance. Yeah. Please don't take it as let's say critical or a direct critics, but this is the feeling we have sometimes, because with the non-craneable trailers, the situation is different. this is recognized by the market. But anyway, these are in our network the point of Europe in which we have still some constraints, but we see a positive future because a lot of works in the infrastructure sector are going to be done, and this is the basic, the most important element.
Yeah. Now, what are the numbers you expect to lift this year if it comes to P400 trailers?
You mean in absolute number?
Yeah.
Let's say that, okay, absolute number maybe by us at current, let's say that the quantity of trailers is more or less 20% of our complete total statistics, trailers P400, and we count in the next 2-3 years to have at least 35-40% of the units transported in the trailer business. In some cases, it's also a change of equipment because there are maybe transports which are developed with swap bodies. Maybe they can be moved on trailers, which is logistic-wise sometimes easier to be managed, also on the road, but due to the technical constraints we had till now, it was not possible. Now that it's possible, probably some goods will be moved from swaps to trailers.
Okay. Well, it sounds very positive, and I would like to see by the end of the year if you have reached these goals. So hopefully speak to you. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks to you. Good job. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And we have reached the end of the show now. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll be notified when we post a new video, and we also have an Instagram account. Now, for now, thank you for watching and see you next week. Goodbye.
En ook u kunt hier zitten, want deze coronaproof studio is te huur voor uw congres, vergadering of webinar. We hebben alle techniek in huis om u hierbij te helpen. Kijk voor meer informatie op promedia.nl. Ik zie u graag in onze studio.